Now, the Palestinian Authority has suspended Al Jazeera from broadcasting in the occupied West Bank. The PA is accusing Al Jazeera of broadcasting what it calls provocative material and reports that it says are misleading. The decision will affect Al Jazeera's offices and its employees working in the occupied West Bank, and it comes more than 3 months after Israeli soldiers raided Al Jazeera's bureau in Ramallah and shut it down. Well, Al Jazeera Media Network has released a statement condemning the Palestinian Authority's decision to close its office in the occupied West Bank. It says the decision to freeze Al Jazeera's work and prevent its journalists from conducting their duties is an attempt to hide the truth about events in the occupied territories, especially what's happening in Jenin and its camps. The network added that such a decision aligns with the previous action taken by the Israeli government, which closed Al Jazeera's office in Ramallah. Al Jazeera says it's shocked by this decision, which comes at a time when the war on the Gaza Strip is still ongoing. Well, our correspondent Hamdah Salhut is following events from the Jordanian capital of Amman, reporting from there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting in Israel.
The Palestinian Authority has banned Al Jazeera from broadcasting and working across the occupied West Bank. The decision was delivered on January 1st to Al Jazeera employees, and the official Palestinian news agency says that the PA cites, quote, misinformation, incitement, and interference into Palestinian affairs based on the coverage of the PA's raids across the occupied West Bank, but specifically in Jenin. Now, previously, Al Jazeera was banned by the Israeli military and government, both in Israel and the occupied West Bank, but the military ban in the West Bank was not renewed. But the Palestinian Authority had decided to take matters into their own hands and ban the network. Now, the PA has not just been cracking down on armed fighters in Jenin, but also those who have been critical of the Palestinian Authority on social media. There have been several videos that emerged of the PA arresting and abusing some of those critics, but the Palestinian Authority has killed at least 11 Palestinians in the last 4 weeks in these raids in Jenin, among them a journalist who was walking at night. Hamdah Salhut, Al Jazeera, Amman.
Well, let's take this on now with Mansour Schumann. He's a Palestinian journalist and humanitarian worker. Lived in Gaza until March of this year. First up, what do you make of this closing down of our reporting in the occupied West Bank?
I'm surprised. I'm shocked when I learned about this a couple of days ago. I mean, our generation grew up on Al Jazeera and their reporting from Palestine. It shaped our, our goals, and we always looked at Al Jazeera as the strategic media arm for the Palestinian cause, whether it be in the West Bank or Gaza. I'm originally from Jerusalem, and I lived in the West Bank, and I can tell you for a fact that right now the Palestinians are going through so much more hardship in that region, but it's not getting the right media coverage. In Gaza, you have every person there with a mobile phone. They can be their own citizen journalist. But we need objective, professional media like Al Jazeera to tell us what is happening right now. Palestinians are being killed. Settlements are increasing. Al-Aqsa Mosque can be destroyed at any moment, can be demolished. So this decision to freeze Al Jazeera coverage, again, I hope that it can be reversed as soon as possible, because the people of the world need Al Jazeera's voice, especially in the West Bank right now.
OK, just explain something for us, if you would, because this comes as the Palestinian Authority has stepped up its own raids in Jenin, killing several Palestinians. Now, these raids are separate from Israeli raids. Explain for us why the PA, the Palestinian Authority, conducts them, and why they would be so sensitive about Al Jazeera reporting on them.
So, speaking from personal, my personal experience in the West Bank, unfortunately, it seems that there are some people within the Palestinian Authority, knowingly or unknowingly, their objectives and their work goes hand in hand with what the Israelis are doing against the Palestinian people on the ground there. And that might be one of the reasons why Al Jazeera, after the Israelis banned Al Jazeera in the West Bank, the decision later on came to ban Al Jazeera by the Palestinian Authority. It is, even if it's not done, it hasn't been meant on purpose, but the impression it's giving to the outside world is that Well, it might be that there are some arms within the Palestinian Authority that are basically executing on behalf of the Israelis, killing their own people, raiding their homes, trying to strike against these militants that are fighting within Jenin camp and in other places. I think that the decision, again, by the Palestinian Authority hopefully should be temporary, because the result of them continuing this ban will have very bad medium and long-term effects on the image of the Palestinian Authority, on the Palestinian people and on the world.
And also all this compounds the systematic targeting of journalists by Israel covering this war.
Of course, as you're aware, there's been over 200 journalists that have been killed, whether it be in the West Bank or in Gaza, since the start of the genocide 15 months ago. Al Jazeera itself, while trying to cover the situation in Palestine, in the West Bank and in Gaza, lost many martyrs. And again, is this how the Palestinian Authority rewards Al Jazeera? After all of these sacrifices, after all of these martyrs, is this how the Palestinian Authority rewards them? And again, the Palestinians know that we do not have a strategic media arm reporting on Palestine to the outside world. And everyone was considering Al Jazeera in Arabic and in English to be our voice. So putting a freeze on that voice, I think it's not the smartest move. And I hope that the people within leadership, within the Palestinian Authority, can make the right decision and reverse whatever has been demeaned on Al Jazeera.
And it's important to remember, of course, that Israel doesn't allow any international journalists within Gaza itself, and the only reporting getting out of there is from our people.
Yes, and that's why people became citizen journalists. I'm not a journalist by trade. I became a citizen journalist in Gaza, right? I had to report the news to the outside world in English using my smartphone, and at times doing reports with different TV stations like Al Jazeera, right? With semi-professional crews. So I think it is more than important right now in these historic moments, during the genocide that's happening in Gaza, during Israel's planned expansions that they've publicly spoke about to the West Bank and in other areas in the other Arab region, that Al Jazeera be active together with other professional voices. Again, I hope that this decision is reversed as soon as possible, because the world needs to hear the Palestinian voice in a professional and an objective manner, like Al Jazeera has been doing for 20 plus years.
Mansour, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much for joining us here on set here in Doha. Mansour Shuman, thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.